Hello, mighty miners and all other friends joining us today. This is Mr. Keith with Mr. Keith's Content. Today for Mr. Keith's Content, we're going to read and learn about two people who became presidents of the United States. We can see from this list here, we've actually had 45 altogether, all the way from our first president, George Washington, down to our current president, Donald Trump. Let's get started with Franklin Roosevelt. Franklin D. Roosevelt was the 32nd President of the United States. Roosevelt was born on January 30th, 1882 in Hyde Park, New York. His family was rich. For many years, Roosevelt went to school at home. His family taught him to care about other people. Roosevelt met his wife, Eleanor, in college. Eleanor worked with poor people in New York. She cared about other people too. Roosevelt had a famous cousin. His cousin was Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore was the 26th President of the United States. Theodore helped Roosevelt to decide to run for office. Roosevelt thought he could help many people this way. In 1910, Roosevelt ran for senator in New York. He won. A senator is someone who helps make laws. In 1921, Roosevelt got sick. He got a disease called polio. After that, he had to use a wheelchair. That did not stop his work. In 1928, people in New York made Roosevelt their governor. A governor runs a state. Roosevelt did a good job. He helped many people who did not have jobs. Roosevelt became president of the United States 4 times. The first time was in 1933. Many people could not find work at that time. Roosevelt found ways to help these people. Slowly, things began to get better. Then Roosevelt had another problem to solve. In 1941, the United States joined a war. The country fought against Japan, Germany, and Italy. The United States worked with other countries to win the war. Many people died. It was a sad time. In 1945, Roosevelt became president for the 4th time. By this time, Roosevelt was very sick from many colds, yet he kept working to end the war. Roosevelt went to his home in Georgia to rest. He died there on April 12, 1945. The war ended soon after Roosevelt died. Roosevelt was a great president. And if any of you guys travel to Washington, D.C., there is a memorial there for Franklin Roosevelt that you can go check out. The other president we're going to learn about today is Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was the 40th President of the United States. He was born in Illinois in 1911. His family lived in a tiny apartment. They had very little money. Reagan worked hard in school. He wanted a good education. He earned the money to go to college himself. Reagan finished college in 1932. During this time, many people could not find work. It was hard to buy food and clothes because people did not have much money. Reagan stayed cheerful and hoped for the best. He went to California to work as an actor. And in this picture, we can see him in one of the movies that he was in. Reagan became interested in politics while he was in California. Politicians are people who help run a community. Reagan became the governor of California in 1967. A governor runs a whole state. Many people liked Governor Reagan. They thought he should become president of the United States. He was elected president in 1980. Reagan wanted people to feel hopeful about their country. One way Reagan did this was to lower taxes. Taxes are money people pay to the government. Reagan also made friends with Mikhail Gorbachev. Gorbachev was the leader of the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union and America were enemies for many years. Reagan wanted the two countries to develop a better relationship. And in this picture, we can see President Reagan with Mikhail Gorbachev. Reagan made history by putting the first woman on the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is the most powerful group of judges in America. This woman was Sandra Day O'Connor. And here we can see President Reagan sitting with Sandra Day O'Connor. Reagan's time as president ended in 1989. A few years later, he became sick with Alzheimer's disease. This disease affects the brain. And in this picture, we can see President Reagan and his wife, Nancy Reagan. Reagan died on June 5, 2004. He was 93 years old. People admired Reagan because he was always cheerful about the future. In 1994, Reagan wrote a last letter to the American people. In it, he said, "I know that for America there will always be a bright dawn ahead." Now, in our story that we read about Franklin Roosevelt, we mentioned that he was cousin to another president. And so our 26th president, Theodore Roosevelt, and our 32nd president, Franklin Roosevelt, were cousins with each other, but they're not the only presidents that were related to each other. Our second president of the United States, John Adams, was actually the father of our 6th president, John Quincy Adams. And our 41st president, George H.W. Bush, was the father of our 43rd president, George W. Bush. But they're still not the only ones that were related to each other, because our 9th president, William Henry Harrison, was the grandfather of our 23rd president, Benjamin Harrison. And if you keep looking at this, you'll notice our 22nd president, Grover Cleveland, and our 24th president was also Grover Cleveland. He's the only president to have done this, where he was president, someone else became president, and then he became president again. And for all of you who have been across the river in St. Louis and been to a place called Grant's Farm is this guy's farm, our 18th president, Ulysses S. Grant. Well, I hope you guys all learned something about presidents. Until next time, my friends.